I want you to do something weird the next time you open a bag of chips. Don't eat it. Not yet. Just hold it. Look at it carefully. Feel the weight in your hand, because something about it doesn't add up. It looks big. It feels like there should be a lot inside. But then you open it, and there's that moment. You know the one. That tiny pause where your brain goes, wait, that's it? And what's crazy is, that moment is almost universal. Kids notice it. Adults notice it. You've probably thought it without even realizing it. And for a split second, you feel like you got less than you paid for. That feeling, that's where this whole thing starts. Because once enough people feel that, they start asking questions. Why is this bag so empty? Am I being ripped off? Is this just a trick? And eventually, that turns into something bigger. There have actually been lawsuits over this. Real ones. People taking companies to court, arguing that chip bags are misleading. And when you hear that, it doesn't sound crazy. Because visually, it really does look like something's off. But here's where everything flips. Because if companies actually did what people think they want, it would make the problem worse. Way worse. Imagine this. You walk into a store and you see a bag of chips that is completely full. No empty space. Packed tight. It looks perfect. You pick it up and it feels heavy. Dense. Like you're getting more, so you buy it. Take it home. Open it. And instead of chips, you get a bag of crumbs. Not a few broken ones. I mean, most of them. And suddenly, that perfect bag doesn't feel so perfect anymore. Because what looks like a simple snack is actually one of the most fragile foods you can mass produce. Think about it. You can snap a chip with almost no effort, a little pressure from your fingers, and it's gone. Now imagine thousands of them, stacked together, moving through a system that looks like this. They're cooked, dropped into containers, poured into bags, sealed at high speed, stacked into boxes, boxes stacked onto pallets, pallets loaded into trucks. Then those trucks drive for hours, over bumps, around corners, stopping, starting. Then everything gets unloaded, moved again, stacked again, put onto shelves. Then customers pick them up, squeeze them, drop them, move them around. That bag goes through more than you think. It's basically a survival test. So the real challenge wasn't, how do we fill the bag? It was, how do we make sure there are still chips left when someone opens it? And this is where things get clever, because the solution wasn't stronger chips. That would change the texture. It wasn't thicker bags. That doesn't stop internal crushing. The solution was something invisible, gas, but not just any gas, nitrogen. Now this is where most people oversimplify it. They think, oh, it's just air, but that assumption is completely wrong. And this is where it gets interesting, because normal air contains oxygen. And oxygen is actually a problem, a big one, because the moment chips are exposed to oxygen, a slow process starts happening. It's called oxidation, and even though you can't see it, it's constantly changing the chips, breaking down the oils, altering the flavor, making them taste stale, that fresh crunch you expect. Oxygen slowly destroys it. So if chip bags were filled with normal air, they'd already be going bad before they reached you. And that would be a much bigger problem than empty space. So companies remove the oxygen and replace it with nitrogen. And nitrogen is perfect. It doesn't react. It doesn't carry moisture. It doesn't affect taste. It just sits there, doing nothing, which is exactly what you want. Because sometimes doing nothing is the best protection. But nitrogen isn't just about freshness, it also protects the chips physically. And this is the part most people don't think about. Because the gas isn't just filling space, it's acting like a cushion. Think about shipping something fragile. You don't pack it tightly. You surround it with something that absorbs impact. Bubble wrap, foam, air pockets. Nitrogen inside a chip bag does the same thing. So when the bag gets squeezed or shaken or dropped, the force spreads through the gas instead of crushing the chips directly. It's like invisible protection, and without it, you don't get chips, you get dust. But even after all of this, there's still a question. Why does it feel like there's so much space? Because what we've explained so far still doesn't fully answer that, and this is where things get even more interesting. Pressure. When a chip bag is sealed, it's done under very specific conditions, but once it leaves the factory, everything changes. As it travels, the environment around it changes too, especially altitude. If a truck drives through higher elevations, or if products are shipped by air, the outside air pressure drops. And when that happens, the gas inside the bag expands. That's why sometimes you see a bag that looks puffed up, like it's about to burst. It's not overfilled, it's reacting to physics. Now here's the important part. If the bag didn't have enough extra space, that expansion would have nowhere to go, and the bag would burst open. Which means instead of half-empty bags, stores would be filled with broken ones. So now companies have to plan for that too. They're not just designing for what the bag looks like in the factory, they're designing for everything that happens after. Transport, temperature changes, altitude, handling. That empty space has to handle all of it. But now we get to the part that has nothing to do with physics and everything to do with how you think. Because even after knowing all of this, it still feels wrong. And that's because your brain is using a shortcut. Your brain judges value based on size, not weight. So when you see a big bag, you automatically think more product. Even if the exact weight is printed right in front of you, you don't feel the grams, you see the size, and your brain fills in the rest. So when you open it, and reality doesn't match that expectation, it feels like something is off, even if nothing actually is. And this happens everywhere. Cereal boxes, candy bags, even things like coffee packaging. But chips make it obvious, because you experience it instantly. That moment of, wait, that's it? And companies understand this better than anyone, because they don't just design packaging to protect food, they design it to influence decisions. Let me ask you something. If you saw two bags, same price, same weight, one is small and compact, the other is larger and feels fuller, which one would you pick? Most people choose the bigger one, even if they know it's the same, because your brain equates size with value. So now you've got a balance. Companies need space for protection, but that same space also makes the product feel bigger. And that's where the confusion comes from. It's not a scam, but it doesn't feel completely fair either. And that tension, that's why people keep questioning it. But here's the part that really changes everything. You were never buying a full bag. You were buying a guaranteed amount. Measured, weighed, controlled. The bag? That's just the delivery system. And that empty space you've been annoyed at your whole life was never there to trick you. It was there to protect your food, keep it fresh, survive a journey you'll never see, and still look good enough for you to pick it up. Which means every time you open a bag and think, why is this half empty? What you're really looking at is physics, chemistry, logistics, and psychology, all working together, just so you can eat chips. And honestly, that's kind of insane. Because something that feels so simple is actually this engineered. But here's the part most people don't realize. Once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere. Products designed not just to be something, but to feel a certain way. And that raises a bigger question. If something as simple as empty space can completely change how you feel about what you're buying, how many other things are designed the exact same way without you even noticing? That's where things get really interesting.